for loop, and it's like, bro, this could be a list comprehension, and it would take one line. Oh my, here's the list comprehension. Holy shit. Here's how to read it.
All right, I'm just going to start the show. Boo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. And yeah, stream looks good. Everything looks good. Bow, 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 bow. Oops. It's Monday, November 12th, 2018. I'm Rym.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights. Tonight, why aren't there any good Monday shows for us to do? YouTube always showed me that orange bar. Whatever. I'm going to ignore it. Worked fine last time.
Switch to Twitch.
I love how it shows
Owned
me
by
the bar,
your new neighbors.
but does not actually at any point say there's a problem with the stream.
Does the stream end up turning out right in the end?
Please check your video resolution. The current resolution is 1920 by 1080, which is not optional. Maybe they're trying to encourage 720p streaming.
I don't know.
Fuck that. I got bandwidth. I got bandwidth. I can send
Maybe
you 50
maybe
up.
something else is off about it. Maybe it's like 1920 by 1081.
Yeah, the thing is, nothing's changed, so I'm not going to change anything yet. I'll watch the stream again. If there's no problem with it, I'm just going to leave it. I don't care that much. Plus, the listener will complain if there's a problem. All right, so we both have opening bits. I'll start with mine, I guess. So this weekend, for the second time in a row of 2 years, because I knew it was a thing, Emily and I run races, like 5Ks or whatever. It's kind of like a thing that's really easy to do and really easy to organize. But the Rangers do one that's like the super charity thing where it's expensive because all the money goes to like the charity. So we run it every year, and this year, like, Pionk was there, and he high-fived us at least
I'm
he
surprised
high-fived.
anyone was there because they were in
I know.
Columbus the night before.
They're on this,
in
like,
Columbus playing a night game. The game's
back-to-back games.
The game's over at like 10 Columbus time. Then they're in New York the next day at the crack ass of dawn.
Running a 5K with a bunch of just schlubs like me. But, like, he was there. A whole bunch of, like, legacy, like, old Rangers were there. And it's always, like, this fun thing. It's
Well, they
expensive.
got nothing else to do.
It's like $50, but all the money goes
Only
to garden.
$50?
Yeah.
That's cheap.
Dude, a normal
charity bike races, they want you to bring thousands.
Dude, normal 5Ks, like a regular race I run in the city, like, if you book it in advance, we're talking, like, 15 to 20 bucks. Like,
charity bike races, they want you to bring thousands of dollars.
Yeah, foot races, it's partly because there's a couple of organizations that have the equipment.
I guess for running, you don't really need
Well, you need the
bicycle
chips. Yeah, you don't need bicycle shit.
But
like,
but the running stuff is reusable, right?
Yeah, but so you need the electronic things in the bibs.
Yeah, but
those are disposable.
Right.
And then you need the chip tracking stuff for the splits and the start and the finish. But that's pretty much it. Like, you bring it and set it up.
Yeah, for a bike thing, first someone has to lay out the course.
Yep, and the course has to be a lot more tight because on a running race, like, the course could just be like pretty much any street anywhere in the city.
Yeah, the course has to be long, 100 miles plus.
Yeah, our courses are like
you gotta mark it.
Our courses are 5K, 10K,
You gotta have rest
13
stops
miles.
full of food.
We don't need any rest stops. You got one table with water.
The ride takes almost all day. Not something you can do in the morning and then go home.
Yeah, 5K takes 20 minutes. Like.
Yeah, this takes all fucking day.
So yeah,
maybe it's the same dollar per minute ratio.
So what's interesting is I'm getting older, and my like short race times are getting worse because like I keep saying on the show, 35 ain't 25, and I ain't even 35. But my long distance times are getting better. So I tried to push myself. I tried to like. Despite the fact that I'm getting older, I actually tried to do well in this race. I trained for it, and I ran hard.
At the end again?
I did vomit at the end.
Great.
Because, so the problem is, actually, I got almost the exact same time as last year. 20 minutes, 11 seconds. Okay. I was number 4 overall in my age group, and I was 16 overall among everybody.
Did numbers 1, 2, and 3 in your age group also vomit?
I saw another person vomit right over the finish line just like me. It wasn't just me. But the trouble I have is that these short races, to push myself at the end, my body is just like, Rym, you're old. Rym, slow down. Jesus, Rym, goddamn. But because there's like a sprint at the end. But in a long race, You just run. Like, the race is so long that running faster in the last 100 yards doesn't mean
It
shit.
saves you a fraction of
Yeah,
time.
but running faster in the last 100 yards is the difference between 4th place and 3rd place.
Mm.
So, yeah, it was super fun, and I got the exact same time as last year, meaning I am at best slightly staving off the ravages of age.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I got.
Okay.
It's a good race, though.
So someone tweeted that Joe Hisaishi, if you don't know who that is, that's the guy who composed all the,
I didn't buy tickets to that concert 'cause I'm
all the
stupid.
music for Studio Ghibli movies.
His stuff is real good.
Was putting on a concert at Carnegie Hall, and I'm like, hey, I've been past Carnegie Hall like 1,000 times. I know exactly where that is. It's a famous place. I've never been in there.
Really?
When have you been in there?
I saw some concerts in there.
What'd you see in there?
Like 10, 11 years ago, I saw a piano concert. It was this famous guy. I don't remember his name, and he did a Rachmaninoff, and he did another thing.
Anyway, so I'm like, oh, and I look, and the tickets were hella cheap, so I just bought them. So apparently, I found out after buying the tickets that apparently last week he was they were conducting, had like the orchestra symphony or whatever, and they
Yep.
were doing Studio Ghibli music. And
Yep.
I was like, oh shit, this one isn't that, is
Because
it?
the weebs always sell those out.
So that one is in the, so Carnegie Hall is the building. It has 3 different, I guess, theaters in it, halls, 3 different music halls in Carnegie Hall, right? Which is the building. There's the big one, which is what you think of as Carnegie Hall. I forget what it's called. There's a recital hall, which I guess is for recitals and very small things, like
Yep.
maybe one person singing, or maybe a quartet, maybe, I don't know. And then we were in Zankel Hall, which is like the medium-sized one, and it had like a chamber orchestra in there, right? And he was performing, he was conducting, what is it, like, he recomposed a Philip Glass piece from the 60s, and then...
From what I gather, that's kind of his thing. Like, every year he'll make, like, a set of new pieces.
Yeah, it was like very modern music, right? This Lang guy composed 2 other things, even though Hisaishi was conducting all of it. And then, like, after the intermission, this really good singer came out, and this weird-looking but still good at playing cellist came out and was, like, sitting on a platform separate from everyone. But anyway, so that was good. But the thing I want to talk about is that before the show, we were sitting around eating some ramens, right?
Like you do.
And I go, I know, and the ticket was a PDF on my phone, because like you do, it's
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, it's 2018. So I'm like, you know, it's like 6:20 and the show's at 7:30, and I'm like, when should we go over there? Let me refer to the ticket. Let me refer to the ticket to see when we should go over there.
I'm in the boat you're in.
Maybe it has some info on it. And I look at the ticket, and I start reading it, and I'm reading all the fine print on the ticket. And eventually I get to some fine print. It says, yo, you have to print this out on paper, even though it's 2018.
Ooh.
And I was like, what the fuck? Are you fucking kidding me? It's 2018. This is a famous venue. I can go to Madison Square Garden with a barcode, with a QR code on my watch.
Yep.
I went to the World Series with the ticket on my phone. I can go to the Game Devs of Color with a barcode from Eventbrite on my phone, right? This is fucking Carnegie Hall, a world-famous musical venue that there are, like, famous jokes about. And you need a piece of fucking paper? What kind of, like, they should be fucking embarrassed, right? So, the story I want to talk about is, I'm in Manhattan. How the hell did I print this out?
Yep.
'Cause
There was this brief era in a distant past where there were a lot of facilities.
It's a good thing that I checked, because more of the fine print also said, yeah, we're not going to print this out for you, ha ha ha.
Oh.
So I went and I'm like, where can I print something? And I'm thinking,
I know where you can print something.
Staples.
Yep.
So I searched for Staples. No, it's closed at 6:30 on Sunday. Fuck that.
Right, Sunday.
So I searched for Kinko's, which is now FedEx office. So I searched for FedEx office, and I go there, and there was one open just a few blocks away. I'd known of this location previously.
See, I could have cheated. I would have just gone to my place of employment that's not that far
Mine
from
was
there.
far away.
Yeah.
So I go to this FedEx office, and I'm like, all right, I have a PDF and an email. How do I print it? And I'm looking around, and I see a big fancy copy machine, and next to it is a little terminal and a sign. And the sign is like, yo, forward your attachment to email address at FedEx.com. Then we're going to email you a number. And I'm like, all right.
Oh.
So I do it, and I wait.
Worst case scenario, some employee of FedEx goes and sees Joe Hisaishi.
And they can get to Carnegie Hall in an hour with that. More power to them. So I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and nothing happens. So I start poking. I forwarded the email. Nothing happens. So
Yeah.
start poking the terminal, and the terminal's like, all right, you can get a USB stick. I'm like, yeah, no, that's not happening. They're like, you can log into your Google Drive on this terminal. And
Oh, hell no.
I'm like, I really don't want to do that. I really do not want to log into my Google Drive.
That is the
on
equivalent
this
of
terminal.
That's the equivalent of here is a hole somewhere.
It's
Please
like I'm going to type in my Google email and password on this shady FedEx office terminal, and then is it even going to bring up my 2FA prompt?
My good sir.
Is it even going to bring it up?
My good sir, please present an appendage of your choice into this mysterious hole.
So I'm like, I go to the attachment and I push the button that saves the attachment to Google Drive. And I'm like, I really don't want to do this. I really would not like this option. They also had a Dropbox option and some other options.
I'd be more like inclined to make a Dropbox account right then and there.
I thought of that as well. But luckily, as I'm waiting there, it took like almost 5+ minutes. I get an email that's like, here's your fucking code. I'm like, oh, thank God. So I go to the terminal, I type the code in, I dip my credit card in the slot, and 2 pieces of paper come out. And that's how that worked.
You know, it's funny because in the course of my life, I've gone through errors.
They had their own like FedEx cloud where the attachment was located, and I had to like choose the file on the little terminal thing.
But if I have to think about like printing adventures.
Yeah, they sent me an email today that's like, how was the show? And I'm like, the show was fantastic. You should be fucking embarrassed
Yeah.
that I have to bring a digital ticket, that I can't bring a digital ticket to your show is a disgrace. Fix that shit.
I mean, I went from, as a child, using a risograph because the school couldn't afford an actual copy machine.
My school always had a copy machine.
Yep. To going to a Kinko's and trying to Xerox pages from my Dungeons & Dragons encyclopedia and them stopping me and saying I can't violate the copyrights by doing so.
It says on the character sheet page, specifically you can copy this one.
And they wanted nothing to do with it.
All
They
right.
turned me away and were real shitty about it.
Public library never actually bothered. You could just go nuts.
Yeah.
That's usually where we went for copies.
To
was
that
public-
brief era where there were multiple retail places you could go to print shit and copy shit, to the era where who prints anything anymore? Like if I print something at work,
People don't realize most bodegas in New York still will do like fax machine stuff and print out a thing for you.
Well,
or
partly
whatever.
because a lot of poorer and more disadvantaged people really need to be able to fax shit.
The other places that in New York, I don't know if people have these and not. I haven't seen them in suburbs a lot, but you know, I've seen same day cash checking places, and payday loan places, which are usually shady. But there's a place that's actually way useful, which is the get international credit phone card wire money places.
Yeah.
And those places very often will do fax machine, copying, printing, all that kind of stuff as well. And those are good places.
Thankfully, I think
Some of them are also payday loan places, then they're bad.
The last time I had to do a fax was when I tried to buy that house in Beacon, and I had to fax a bunch of documents around. And
If
I went to
can't fax to you by emailing an attachment to phone number at something.com, then I'm not faxing.
So I faxed from a bodega in Yonkers.
This is just a warning to you. If you buy tickets to a venue you haven't been to before,
Double check that it's modern.
yeah, even though it's fucking 2018 and I haven't had a paper ticket for anything since maybe 2013 or even earlier.
Well, here's same deal, right? So we fly a lot, right? So
yeah, I can use a digital ticket to get on a Jersey Transit fucking bus.
So
I can buy a ticket on my phone for that bus while I'm waiting for the bus, and I can't go to Carnegie Hall, a world-class musical institution, and I had to have to bring a piece of paper.
So, you know, I fly a lot, and one thing I've learned is that the consistency with which e-tickets are accepted at airports, if you're not flying to or from New York City, is so low that you pretty much got to print shit out.
No, I've not had a problem with.
You have not flown nearly as much as I have.
But what I did have a problem with, which is partially just because I didn't fully understand it, was I had the passport card that I got way back.
You can't use that flying.
I got that when I got that way back when I bought.
Yeah, passport card in America basically means this is useless in 99% of all cases where you would want to use such a thing.
Well, it's like I got it back when I got my passport because I just picked the max option, just like I picked the max option for my new driver's license, right?
Well, yeah, I did that.
So the passport card said you can use this to go to Canada, Mexico, and Caribbean islands.
Fine print, not on a plane.
I didn't see that. So I tried, I had my real one with me, obviously, because I'm not a moron. But I was like, I can't use this one. They're like, no, that's for like on a cruise ship or something.
Yep.
But yeah, the passport card is only for boats and land. And the they said, oh, you can use your driver's license for re-entry into the U.S. It's like on boats or land.
Yep.
It's just like, come on, what's the fucking point?
There's no point. It's all just garbage.
Let me use the passport card for everything.
How about just not need a passport like when I was a kid? I could just go to Canada all the time. Like they would just wave us through and not even ask who we were.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get back to those days somehow.
If you vote for Scott for president, I will improve relations with Canada so that we don't need that anymore.
So
once they find out that the big hockey fan is president, they'll be all good.
So in some news, so another problem of flying around the world a lot is that basically everywhere civilized except the United States, when you have a credit card, you can have a chip and pin, meaning there's a chip.
People in the U.S. don't know this.
And you know a pin. And when you want to use your credit card, you have to input the PIN. Math happens to determine it's two-factor authentication, essentially.
Yeah, you put in your credit card in the slot, which you did learn in the U.S. recently.
Yep.
But then you actually have to type in a number just like you do with your ATM card.
Yep.
Otherwise, it won't fucking work. So if someone steals your credit card, they can't go around buying shit.
But this does not work the same way.
And there's no signature. Don't have to do any stupid
as a
signature
debit card. Like, it's not the same math. It's not the same system. It's totally different. So
it actually provides real security.
So many of you younger people won't know because I learned recently that most people who are younger than us have never even heard of the idea of a cash advance because they're largely disappearing. But basically...
You only use that in an extreme emergency.
Yeah, because their interest rate's like 40%.
Yeah, it's a bad idea.
But basically...
Remember they used to send you checks, fake checks, and well, not fake checks, but like checks.
Real checks that you could just write to people that would just...
Make a cash advance happen and fuck you.
Yep. Cash advances were bad news, but old people could do that if they wanted to. And the way it would work is your credit card, whether you know it or not, has a PIN. And if you have to put that PIN in, and it basically acts like a debit card. The point I'm making here is that America relatively recently started forcing everyone to use chips instead of the mag stripes. But this was ostensibly for security, but they didn't actually implement the PIN part of that.
They're basically just using the chip instead of the magnet strip.
Yes. So
it's the same fucking thing.
It's not actually in any way more secure.
Nope.
And in fact, credit card fraud appears to have not dropped at all.
Nope.
And even funnier, a lot of Americans who don't travel like in Europe as much as I do will go to Europe and try to use their credit card. And guess what? Your American credit card, even though it has a chip, won't fucking work in almost any point-of-sale system that doesn't have a human there.
Like most things the government does that are anti-common sense, it's usually because someone is paying the representatives to go against common sense. And it's like a lot of the times it's just plain old visible. Like, oh, yeah, that oil company is paying them to deny climate change, obviously, right? But in this case, it's criminals. So that's the ones that they don't make so obvious. But I'm pretty sure I'll be willing to bet that credit card fraud profiteers are definitely paying to make sure the U.S. does not implement chip and PIN.
I don't know who's paying to make. I think the
that sounds like a crazy conspiracy, but it's way less crazy than actual crazy conspiracies that crazy people believe.
You know who I'd suspect more? All the companies that issue credit cards in the U.S. don't want to have to update their systems because you have to.
They already just updated them.
Yeah, and half the places I go in New York still use the mag swipe. So
the only place I actually saw the mag swipe, even though I was just talking good about them for letting me use my Apple Watch to get in.
FedEx.
If you want to buy food at Madison Square Garden, all the chip inserts are broken or something. You got to use the swipe.
Yep.
Like it's fucking 19 whatever.
So not only do the chips basically do nothing, and they're not actually the chip and pin that the rest of the world uses. The article I'm linking to here talks about how 60 million U.S. credit cards were compromised in the last year, and 93% of those were chip-enabled. Merchants are basically just continuing to use the mag stripes because they don't give a shit. Nobody seems to give a shit about this.
They did. What I thought happened was they changed the law so that if you were a merchant and you didn't update your system, that you would now be liable for any, fraudulent like chargebacks and stuff, whereas otherwise, Visa, MasterCard, the bank, or whoever would be liable, and that would encourage you to update your shit because otherwise, if anything happens with any of those transactions, you're in big doo-doo.
Yeah, and I'm not actually sure what the status of all those laws and regulations is. Like, I just don't know.
I don't know.
I did
That's
such
what I
cursory
heard. I don't know
research.
where I heard it from.
But the main way credit cards are getting stolen is actually really sad, and it's simply just malware on the point-of-sale systems that are all basically running Windows.
Right. It's like you go swipe your credit card into a Windows machine, like, that terminal thing at the FedEx place.
Yep. Because
if someone put some spyware in it, congratulations, they can now make a copy of my credit card and go use it.
Because it's very telling that I have a bunch of credit cards, and I have a set of credit cards that are only ever used online and are never used in person. And I have another set of credit cards that are only ever used in person and never used online.
Oh, I only have one credit card used for everything.
Yeah, well, I kept my old credit card because having that ancient line of credit.
Yeah, I have 2 ancient credit cards with 0 that I just never use, but they're not. I keep them from expiring, and I just use one for everything.
But anyway, my online-only credit cards have to this day never had a problem ever.
Because you're not buying from any shady-ass websites. You're only buying from places with nice green locks in the corner, and you know it's the right domain, and you know, you're not...
Meanwhile, my in-person credit card has been compromised like 6 times, and I'm pretty sure every one of those times was the result of a shitty hotel.
I got hotels on my credit card and haven't had a problem.
Yeah. Well, it was funny
Even on a tropical island, I didn't get a problem, and I used it everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, YMMV, but... The moral of all this is that the chips on U.S. credit cards...
I was actually concerned about that on the tropical island.
Yeah, basically mean nothing.
But I check my statement, my balance every month, and nothing shady.
So you got any news?
What was my news?
The ridiculous foldable...
Right, so... so this is something where the core idea is a good idea, and that is a phone... that folds. We've had phones that folded. My first phone, the Motorola StarTAC, great phone.
Yeah, flip phones in that era.
Which is great because you can fit it in your pocket, but then when you need it to be bigger, you unfold it, and now you have a large device that's easy to use.
Yep.
But then when you want to put it away and not use it, it magically becomes smaller.
The last phone I had that did that was the Palm Pre, where you could flip out that keyboard.
iPhone, like the new iPhone X, I forget if the S or R is the bigger one, but the biggest iPhone, the newest, biggest one, is way too fucking big. No, hell no, I wouldn't pay for it even if it was like $1. But maybe it was $1. But it's too damn big. But you know what? If that sucker folded in half, I'd buy that right away. Maybe even for like $800. Not $1,000, but $800, right? Because like, damn, that would fit in my pocket if I folded it in half.
Yeah.
Right? But
and the main reason
then
why
when I unfold it, it's great. Okay. Yeah.
The main reason why I don't want a big phone is that I can't fit it in my pocket.
That's right. That's reason number 1. So folding solves all these problems. So they've been working a very long time at a lot of companies to make because you can fold every part of the computer. We have laptops that fold.
Yep.
The problem is if you have a phone, the part that can't fold is the screen.
And that's the only part that needs to be big for most people. That or the battery.
Right. So I mean, we can make a folding phone where the screen's on half of it like a laptop. Like a BlackBerry with a hinge in the middle.
Yeah.
Fuck that garbage, right? We need to make the screen itself somehow fold. We don't want to have like a DS where there's 2 screens with a blank space in the middle.
Yep.
Right? We got to make the screen itself fold. So they've been working on this technology for a long time, and Samsung has apparently succeeded. They want to make this phone, and this phone looks like fucking even worse than iPhone 1. It is way thick and chunky, way janky.
The most telling
the
photo.
rumor is that they want to charge $1,700 for this.
Someone zoomed in on how thick it is, like he's holding it in his hand when it's folded. It's so thick that
it's like
it
a ham
defeats the
sandwich.
purpose.
It's like a ham sandwich.
I have eaten sandwiches that were thinner than this fucking phone based on this picture.
At least it's smaller, thinner than a Debella sandwich.
Yeah, but
I really
think,
want a Debella sandwich right now.
Oh my god, I'm hungry already.
Maybe I'll pick up a bread and some stuff on
You
the
said
way
those
home.
words.
Anyway.
Like a primal part of my... I'm literally salivating now.
Same. Okay, so the point
That's
is...
the one thing I can't get in New York. I'm rich and I live in New York and I can't get a goddamn Debella sandwich.
I could go to that other place in Astoria people talk about. Anyway.
Yeah, anyway.
The point is... This phone is garbage. No one's paying $1,700 for this, but I cannot.
Well, one,
I
my
cannot
current phone,
wait.
If my current phone could fold over forward and turn into a tiny square, that's one thing. This is like if my phone were just twice as big.
Yeah, I'm hoping though.
And this basically square aspect ratio. What the hell? Who needs that?
The fact that they have succeeded at this though means I'm really hoping that in 5-ish plus years, right, when Apple makes a folding phone. That I have an awesome thin as hell folding phone, and I'll buy the 2nd generation of folding phone, and it'll be sweet as hell.
Here's my problem. I know what's going to happen. The folding phones are going to be in their folded state still too big because the market for this is people who want phones that are way too big.
If I wait for the 2nd generation of folding Apple phone, it will not be too big. But then it'll get too big in the later versions, and I'll keep that one.
So we'll
I'll stick
see.
with the iPhone F7.
It's just look at this screen. Like, who needs a screen that's just wider like that?
Well,
Like,
the thing, okay, so if this thing wasn't thick, if it was nice and thin,
that would be okay.
then it would actually be okay because you wouldn't have a tablet. It would be your phone and your tablet.
True. But
You just
most
have
people,
this thing, and that's it.
most people who want a big phone seem to want it so that they can watch
And
like movies on it.
Even at $1,700, it's cheaper than a phone and a tablet.
What I don't see here is what the actual resolution is of this screen.
Not good enough.
Because I mean, it doesn't say.
You gotta have to wait for it to be good enough. It's obviously not.
Okay, so it is a. Oh, good God. Okay, Samsung Fold is a tiny 4.6 display with a 19 blah blah blah. The unfolded mode is a 7.3-inch 2152 by 1536. That's okay.
That's all right.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that they're going with this instead of waiting one more generation.
I think they have to push it out to make it, there's always that first, right? People
Yeah.
don't remember before the iPhone, there was that Motorola iTunes phone.
Yeah.
People don't remember that thing, right, at all, right? So there's always has to be that one janky piece of crap before the first real thing.
So I'm not going to link to this article for my last news because it's on Forbes, and if you don't know the deal with Forbes, there's a reason why.
Forbes used to be a magazine that was a real magazine, even though the guy who runs it is like a piece of shit. The guy named Forbes is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But Forbes now use a website. Used to be a website based on the magazine with real articles, like a real magazine. But now, basically, anyone can write a Forbes article almost. And then whoever writes the article will go around trying to post it everywhere on the internet because they get paid, they get more clicks and stuff. And so just because something's on Forbes, it sort of lends it this credibility of being in a real magazine.
Mostly because, and I run into a lot of people who don't
But no,
realize
there isn't
Forbes
any.
changed their business
It may
model.
as well just be a fucking blog if it's on Forbes. It might as well be a Medium post. It's the same thing.
Yep. So I'm not even going to say the name of the company because it's clearly an ad for a company that does delivery services within cities. But the point it makes and like the data it talks about is pretty interesting.
If
And
true, if
yeah.
it's not just cherry-picked data to support that company's business model.
Yeah, but the point it makes is that in most major cities, transit is where bicycles are literally the fastest and most reliable way to get around almost any major city,
That is true.
which is 100% true in my experience. Like, if I'm going
It's
far,
obviously faster than walking. You cannot walk faster than a
it
bicycle.
is faster than taking the subway, even if I'm going like way out into Brooklyn from here.
Depending on the distance, right? So
Yeah.
it's like an ultra-long distance. No, it's not faster.
Yeah, like,
But
I can
it also depends on where you're going. Because
True.
sometimes if I go into somewhere, like if I go to Brooklyn, the subway to Brooklyn is either like 3 transfers and a G.
Yep.
And then versus a straight shot, it's like I can basically take in a super shortcut with the bicycle where like the train would have to go way fast to go into Manhattan and come back and
or
beat
even
me.
like Far Rockaway, it takes about the same amount of time to bike there as it does to take the subway there.
Well, the subway to get to there is very far.
Take the A train
It's not close
forever.
Rockaway.
Yeah.
It's far Rockaway. It's named that because it's farther than regular Rockaway.
Yep.
It's not named that for any other reason. It's actually talking about the distance. It's far.
But it's something to just think about that stat, because a lot of people who listen to GeekNights don't necessarily live in cities. But the fact that if you have to rank the ways to get around the city in terms of how efficient and fast they actually are.
Well, everyone knows. I mean, it was proven a long time ago that a bicycle is the most efficient form of transportation, period.
Yeah.
Ever conceived in terms of energy per going.
Again, until you get to long, like very long distances or like use cases and all this nonsense.
I mean, if there was friction in space, and you could use a bicycle.
But there is some economic evidence of this too, like a secondary set of evidence in the sense that, I won't say the name of the company in this article, but pretty much all the deliveries in New York City, like even deliveries of kind of big stuff, like anything that isn't UPS, FedEx, is coming via bike. Like bike messengers have exploded again to the point that like there's 1 million of these bikes around the city, both electric and not electric. And
I think the only reason a UPS FedEx doesn't use, say, cargo bikes to deploy like all the packages small enough to go on a cargo bike is because they would need so many riders that they would lose money, even though each individual package would be delivered more energy efficiently.
Yeah.
Just more speedily.
So just something to think about. There's a reason why people move
There
to the
are
city.
places where they do use bikes though, like UPS and whatnot.
Plus, now that New York, like the city bikes in New York have been such a big success that they are such an important part of the transit system in the daily commute now that like a city bike outage is almost as bad as certain kinds of subway outages in certain neighborhoods. All right, that killed enough time. Oh, there's like 15 people watching. All right.
Go away.
Oh, I didn't talk about the sand. I'll save that for another time.
That's fine. You'll forget.
I won't forget because it's so. There's a good picture on that article, so I'll remember it.
Just water hitting a rock.
No, it's a dead guy in sand.
Oh, that's not good.
Because people are dying because of this. There's a sand mafia.
Okay. Oh, that's what it. Oh,
Yeah, I encountered a little bit of this the last time I was in India. There was a thing. I'll save it for the show.
People were poaching sand.
People were poaching rocks and sand, and it was a fascinating thing I encountered.
First the ivory, then the copper, then the sand.
Yep. First you get the ivory,
well,
then you get the copper, and then anyway.
So what happens when we use all the resources on Earth?
Yeah.
Stop fucking shit up.
But anyway, things of the day. So BigClive.com is a pretty great YouTube channel I've linked to occasionally where he'll basically buy like dodgy ass Chinese bootleg electronics on eBay and take it apart and explain why it's so dangerous and terrifying. But his channel's great and he goes into all this stuff, but this one is pretty unique because I had never conceived that such an item existed, and apparently these are commonly used outside of the United States. And essentially, this device, even if it works as intended, is terrifyingly dangerous. It is a USB flesh-burning pen for ladies. And what it is used for is to use high-voltage burning for people to burn moles off of themselves.
Oh, I could use that.
Or burn skin tags off. Basically,
I have a mole.
Yeah, so you could buy this. You could buy this thing on eBay. It ain't even that expensive. Charge it with USB, and burn the shit out of yourself.
Wouldn't that fucking hurt?
Yes.
I'm not gonna do it then.
And this video is great because he burns himself with it.
Can I use it to burn a mole off of you?
No. So just the fact that this is a consumer item.
Then I get all the fun of mole removal without the pain part.
Yeah. It even comes with dire warnings about not to use it on like areas of skin larger than a certain amount. And the area that they mention as being the line between safe and not safe is, in my personal opinion, way too big of an area to burn yourself on purpose. So, and the funniest part is, the thing doesn't even actually work and it keeps crashing.
Crashing?
Because it's a Chinese, like, bootleg piece of shit. And even if it works, it's intended to burn you with an electrified needle.
Couldn't you just use a wood-burning laser or something?
No, this burns a different way.
Or like a laser cutter?
The video's like 15 minutes long. You can watch it and see all the detail. But warning, he uses it to burn a callus off of his hand because he wants to see how it works.
Why don't you use it to just burn a piece of wood?
I could do that too.
Then do that.
So what do you got?
So here's a Twitter account, Storyboard Art, B-O-R-E-D, like your board, but it's all one word.
Oh, cute.
It's some animator of some kind.
I don't think you even said. Oh, there it is.
I don't know who this person is because someone retweeted them. If they're a bad person, which they don't appear to be, because anyone on Twitter could always be a bad person, right?
Yeah, I've occasionally retweeted something.
There was always all that, like,
out.
oh, cute Nintendo comic. Oh, a Nazi made this.
That's the exact one I was thinking of.
Right.
That fucking Nintendo comic.
But anyway, this person doesn't appear to be a bad person, and they're an animator, artist of some kind. And here is the tweet. Art thread, my 10-year-old brother wrote a kid's book, and I drew the pictures for it. This is like an X-Cop story here, right? It turned out so funny that we're actually going to get it made into physical books for us and some friends, so not for you, listeners. Here's the full thing. So on Twitter, it's, how many posts is this? 1, 2, 3,
oh, this
4,
is really
5,
good.
6, 7. There's 7 tweets in a thread, and each one has 4 pictures, except for the last one, which only has 2 pictures. And you just go through the pictures one by one, and that's the whole children's storybook that is very well illustrated, and it appears to be colored in by someone who's using crayon but is also really good at crayon, or making a Photoshop brush that looks exactly like a crayon. And it's an excellent children's book. It's not on the level of I Want My Hat Back, but it is excellent and entertaining for all ages, even if you are 90 or 9.
It's pretty cute. In the meta moment, the book club book is Space Odyssey 2001, the book. We'll read it soon. We're also going to be live.
I noticed the other day that, because the Filmstruck website's going down, but it's not down yet. It's here till later in the month. And 2010 was on there, so I didn't visit Europa because I follow instructions.
Yeah, that's like the one rule. Also, we will be live at PAX Unplugged doing Learn and Win Puerto Rico. I just mostly finished the slides for that. And all I will say is the production values are off the charts, and this is going to be a great panel.
You did not do the strategy section.
No, I didn't.
I also made some edits in your rule section.
Which, well, I'll look at them, see what the edits.
Misspelled governor. You wrote governor and not governor.
Oh, with O? I was copy pasting a lot out of a thing because I was in a hurry.
I fixed some other things also.
Yeah. I found a rules clarification that we never knew about this rule.
What rule is it?
I'll share it later.
Okay.
And we've never followed it, but I'm confident it never came up.
Okay.
So it was one of those situations. But yeah, this will be a good panel. And then also the 40 tabletop games you must play, the advanced version for the tabletop con, where you can assume the people know the biz. So this will be a good time. Also, PAX South is coming up. PAX East is coming up. I wonder if the PAX East badges are sold out yet.
That's a good question.
Because Saturday's sold the fuck out.
Yeah, they've already went on sale. And nope, only Saturday sold out.
Oh,
All
wow.
other days are very available for PAX East. If you want, hotels might not be available, but if you want to go to PAX East, and on any day but Saturday, you can just go, and you can maybe get a Saturday badge in the secondary market or something.
And Enforcer applications for PAX East are live. So if you didn't know, East is the con that like me and Scott enforce. We're there, enforcing night shift every year.
Not enforcing it East kind of makes East way shittier.
Yep, East. I mean, East is great, but it is the worst PAX by far.
Yeah, like I'm saying, I often talk about things being like the least smelly poop, and that's when everything sucks, but this thing sucks a little less. East is like a scratched up piece of platinum. It's like, it's like, okay, it's not the most delicious steak. It's the second most delicious steak. Oh, no.
It's like I got a platinum piece, a gold piece, and then East is like the electrum piece. Like, that's still worth something.
Yeah.
That's still great. That's still good.
Still great. It's just, it's slightly imperfect compared to the other greats.
Especially because...
Oh, no, I only got a Donatello piece of artwork and not a Van Gogh.
I mean, honestly, the only problems with PAX East are, one, Boston.
Yeah.
Like, Boston doesn't have enough hotels.
It's cold.
It's cold in Boston, doesn't have enough transit, and forces the security theater.
The building is a big rectangle.
Actually, literally every problem with PAX East is the direct fault of the city of Boston and not PAX.
Yeah.
Like 100%. So, but it's still fun, and we'll be there. It's going to be awesome. All right. So yeah, we were trying to come up with the Monday shows we do, and I realized we almost just did a show on printing. I feel like we might be able to do something on that.
Maybe. But yeah, so Monday show ideas are hard to come up with, and there's two reasons, right? Reason number one is that we're not really learning technologies. It's not like, to do a show, it's like we could just read Wikipedia to you, but that's stupid.
Yeah.
We need to know something so that we can talk about it for 20, 30, whatever minutes.
Well, another minor problem.
But we don't learn new technologies that much, and there aren't new ones to learn that often, and we do these shows like every other week. It's like I'm not learning a new technology every other week that I can talk for 20 minutes in depth about.
Well, also that my areas of expertise have changed quite a bit based on the work I'm doing. Like, for example, there's a couple of new routing protocols. And when I say new, I mean from 2012, 2013.
Yeah, you're not working in routing, though.
Yeah, I don't configure routers anymore. So while I know what those routing protocols do on a high level, I could, it's not like OSPF where I could start drawing the details right now for you. And if I tell you what I know about these new routing protocols, that you will learn less than you would learn from Wikipedia about them.
Yep.
There's even a new non-routable range in IPv4 for a specific kind of NAT.
Right, and some things I do learn are so incredibly specific and narrow that they're not really appropriate for a podcast for the audience. That's not someone like I could talk about a specific function in a specific library, and it's like anyone who's not using that library doesn't give any shits. It's not something to talk about, right?
And also, at this point, I am so far removed from the code my own engineers write that I work on a very high business-oriented level now, which is, one, not interesting to most of you, and two, I can't talk about what I'm doing. I can't just talk about it.
The second reason it's hard to come up with Monday episodes is because even though technological change is moving at a more rapid pace than at any point in history, right? In terms of actual computers, consumer electronics, these sorts of things, developments that are significant and meaningful and episode worthy have decreased significantly in recent history.
Well, there's a
Like
few
the 20
caveats to that, though. Like, number one, a lot of the things we would previously have talked about on a Monday show around technology in the modern era much more appropriately fit in like a Thursday show because it's more about the society around the use of the technology. And we've started to make that distinction more often than we used to.
Mm-hmm.
Another part of it is that a lot of the advances in technology, while they are transformative to like cell phones, like battery technology and all that, and while they are moving pretty quick, the gains from those are being basically eaten by other evolving aspects of technology, like batteries got bigger, but also we're doing more with the devices, so batteries don't actually last longer.
Right, and it's like if a lot of the improvements to something, it's like, okay, something was made faster. It's like, okay, well, like there's a new Wi-Fi. They're talking about like Wi-Fi. They stopped using letters. Now they're simplifying it. They're going to be like Wi-Fi V6.
Dude, 802.11g is still like literally fast enough for everything I do in my house.
Right, but the point is like, I don't know what the differences between them are, only that they're faster. It's still Wi-Fi. You don't notice any difference as a user. You don't even know which one you're using.
There are some differences around how the signals interact such that you can have more density of access points and signals.
How
like
can
in a
you
convention
possibly
center.
get a GeekNights episode out of all that? Right?
Well, because again,
Wi-Fi is now faster if you get a newer router and a new enough device, and somehow they link up.
well, here's it.
But it's faster than your internet connection is. You won't notice.
Well, that's it. The impact of a lot of the fast-moving technology impacts like it's multiple steps removed from the consumer use case. Like ISPs will benefit from some of these changes, but you using your phone connecting to a Wi-Fi at home, there is literally no meaningful difference to you for the foreseeable future. Because look, live streaming 6 megabit up. That's all I need to live stream to YouTube. They won't even take more than that.
Yep.
At least for what I'm doing.
Also, even, there used to be this thing, Moore's Law, where they were like, okay, every 2 years, transistor density will double, right? And it's like, well, actually, we're sort of slower than that. It's more like 3 years at this point. And we're not seeing even things getting faster are not getting faster as fast as they were 5, 6, 7 years ago. Intel specifically, who's, I guess, number one in terms of consumer chips still, kind of, they've been working on this 10 nanometer process, which means that transistors are 10 nanometers in size, supposedly. And they sort of have fucked that up repeatedly and have missed all the deadlines. And it was supposed to be out this year, and this year's almost over. Now they're saying next year. There's a rumor that they're just going to cancel the whole fucking thing. And Intel's like, no. And this is why they're in trouble right now.
Well,
and that's why you see things like Apple and NVIDIA really gaining on them. Apple making its own chips for a lot of its machines and devices. NVIDIA maybe making a CPU.
Yeah.
Maybe. They haven't officially announced that, but
well, of course,
I can see it coming.
There's another sort of subtle thing going on there is that when we were talking a lot about computers, one, like we're buying a lot more consumer like computer shit and building computers more often, but two, the metrics of performance were much more straightforward. An 800 megahertz chip versus a gigahertz chip, the actual impact on your use of a computer for even simple things was noticeable to a human.
Yep. You could sit at the two different computers running the same software, otherwise configured identically, and one of them would be obviously faster. You would double click on an application, it would appear sooner, right? You would run a game, you would get one of them would run smoothly and one of them would have lag and not have enough FPS.
Yep. But nowadays, like my current computer, it's running at 4.5 gigahertz. It's got 4 cores.
For most games, even if you crank the settings up pretty high, it's like unless you got like a 4 or 5K screen and really crank it up, you'll get the full 60 frames whether you got a 1060 or a 1080 or an 1180, right?
Forget gaming, just regular PC usage. If not for the fact that I edit 4K video, there is literally no performance difference between my current crazy powerful computer and the one I replaced it with that was like 5 years old.
Yep.
Like literally no difference. The only thing that's ever used all this computing capability of this modern computer I have is doing complex effects that can't be done in the GPU on 4K video. Like that is the only thing that uses the CPU.
Right.
And even like cell phones, it's even worse. Like I don't think I have noticed a performance difference in any cell phone I've bought in like 6 years. I literally don't even care what chip is in my cell phone.
No, it used to be that like the first few iPhones I had, 3G, 4, right? They were noticeably kind of slow compared to the newer phones. But once we got to 6, 7, it's like, oh, actually, this is just perfectly fine. And the new phone, if I went to the Apple store, the new phone doesn't feel any faster than iPhone 7.
Yep.
It's You know,
The last phone I had that felt slow was my like LG something 4. It was so long ago, it's ancient history.
Right. So it's not just speed, right? It's that meaningful other kinds of advancements haven't really been happening recently in like the past couple 2 or 3 years, right? It's like, all right, we had like we were talking about this earlier. We got phones with a full screen on the front, and today we still have phones with a full screen on the front. We went from not having any tablets to like, here are tablets, they're all screen, right?
Yep.
It's like, what meaningful, big developments there are in terms of like the actual features and capabilities of devices, consumer electronics and computers are meaningfully different from how they were a few years ago.
Well, meaningful is complicated because that could be very contextual based on like what someone's using it for.
Like,
I would say, I'd use a different word. I'd say transformative.
Right.
Where are the changes where as like everyone who uses the technology or a wide body of those people fundamentally change the way they interact with that technology?
Right. The closest I could find is like a folding phone. That's the closest thing I could find. And it's not going to be good for.
Well, let's try to step back. Like,
if it's ever good.
In the span of our lives, what were the transformative technology moments? Like
when computers suddenly had a hard drive in them instead of always needing a floppy disk to be swapped in and out.
Pentiums, like the Pentiums compared to the 486.
Having a color screen on the computer.
Well,
having a mouse that let me
put it this way. The difference between a 386 and a 486, like, literally changed the world for me.
Going from a modem to a modem that actually was fast enough to load a web page to not a dial-up modem.
Yep. Oh, computers that don't actually have good sound to a sound card that you can just buy.
Wi-Fi is now a thing, and you don't have to always have some sort of wire.
USB fucking changed everything. I remember Windows 95 didn't even support USB.
You have a battery, you have a laptop, you can take the computer with you somewhere that's not a desk.
Digital fucking camera.
Yeah. We've seen a lot.
When I was in high school, we had a digital camera. The entire school shared.
Film cameras.
You put a floppy disk in the
digital
front.
camera was not the thing until like it's actually shockingly recent. Like even early 2000s, it was still film camera. Even though digital camera was a thing, it was the kind where you put like a CDRW or a floppy disk into the camera until like 2003, 4, 5 maybe, right?
Yeah.
Is when you had a real digital camera with compact flash card, right? That came later.
But now, like, internet access, like, broadband, at least, like, forget access, because there are parts of the world, and especially because we're talking about, like, just sort of our experiences in America where people don't have broadband, but broadband getting faster doesn't benefit the vast majority of users of broadband.
No,
they're going to use it the same way they use it today.
But it drastically affects people who don't have broadband who suddenly need it. I read an article recently about
I read that same article,
the homework gap, where like basically kids who live in rural places where there's no broadband at all can't do homework, and they go to near the school because the school has internet, and they sit in like the parking lot using the school's Wi-Fi to do their homework.
Yeah.
That's fucked
up.
So
let's try to step back. What was the last technology improvement that was transformative in our lives? Because I'm hard-pressed to think of anything other than like the complete suite of modern live streaming technology.
Like I've had the same sort of device loadout for like a significant period of time.
I'm still using the same laptop from 2009, and it plays Civ 6.
Right.
Like, I can run Premiere on it.
I've had upgrades to devices, but like what transformative change was there between my iPad Pro and my mini iPad other than it's bigger and faster?
Yep.
Nothing, right? It has a stylus. Stylus ain't new.
Like I bought a fancy camcorder to use for GeekNights stuff like recently with the Patreon money.
4K
that
video
camcorder
is a thing, but 4K video is already like 4 years old, maybe 4 or 5 years old.
So the fancy camcorder I bought is just cheaper because of like improvements in process and technology. It's not better than camcorders I could have gotten previously. It's just cheaper and smaller, but I'm going to use it the exact same way I would have used one of those other ones if I could have afforded it.
Yeah, let's see. The GH4, which I had, now I have the GH5, was like basically the first prosumer camera that had like meaningful 4K recording.
Yeah.
Right? Video recording. And it came out in...
We've been using that to record GeekNights panels for a while.
Yeah, a long time. 2014. Yes, I was right. Like 3, 4, 5 years, right? Wow, 2014. It's only May 2014.
Yep.
It's 2018.
Here's one.
So
remember,
4K video is 4 years old already.
But digital video cameras that just work and encode things in reasonable formats, like we tried to record some Geek Nights panels with that flip camera, and those videos were encoded badly to the point that you could not sync them.
It's like GoPros are a thing now, but you know the GoPro has basically been perfect since like the GoPro 4-ish.
Yeah.
I think I have the 5. Is the 7 out now?
Yeah, a new GoPro came. I'm thinking about.
It's not really. I think it does 4K 60 instead of 4K 30, maybe. I don't know.
I'm thinking about getting a last gen GoPro because I have a GoPro like G2 that I think I gave away.
Yeah, I think the one I have, if you have that one, you're good. You don't need a newer one than that.
Because we only need one because I need that top down view if we're doing like panel streaming and stuff. Like
it's like there's been advancements in the drone department, but that's not something we can use.
Well, it's still hobbyist. It's not transformative.
It's been
no. You know what?
Been a lot of
drone coupled with camera has been transformative for video and audio and like low budget film production.
Like video professionals, a drone is like now standard equipment.
Yeah,
right?
Look at a helicopter tracking shot from the 80s.
Look at how many YouTube videos now have aerial shots, overhead shots because of drones.
That is transformative. Camera drones, I will give you, that is a transformative technology.
Right. Look how many things you watch now have like some drone footage. Basically,
like that drone chasing the poor baby bear.
Usually it's like, you know, scenery, like to sort of set a scene.
Yeah, but seriously, look at a tracking shot from a helicopter from the like late 80s compared to like a drone I could buy with the cash in my desk right now. Like, seriously.
I'm just not allowed to fly it anywhere near here. If I lived in the woods and I would use a drone more, I would get one.
Yeah, when we went to
the only reason I'm not droning is because I'm in a city and it's illegal to use it everywhere. People do it anyway.
Dude, the Rangers 5K, right?
I'm not going to mess around.
I showed up to the Rangers 5K. Do you know how many signs there are all over Flushing Corona Meadows Park that just says, do not fucking fly your drones here. We will arrest you.
There's one place there you can fly them because next to the Meadow Pond, there's a little area where you're allowed to fly, like model plane helicopter. You can fly your drone right there in that spot. Because it's no different than a model plane or helicopter.
Yep. I think the only other thing I can say that's been transformative is, like, in relative recent history, we hit these sizes of solid-state drives to where you can have just solid-state drives and be fine.
The iPad, the only reason I'm upgrading this perfectly good iPad Pro is because this one has 128 gigs of storage, and even though Apple overcharges the fuck for storage because they're fucking assholes, the new iPad Pro has an option for 1 terabyte of storage, which I think is enough.
I mean, I have a 1 terabyte SSD, like PCIe.
The SD cards that I put into my camera are 128 gig SD cards. I can't have edit those on a 128 gig iPad Pro. I need, especially when a panel fills up the card. But if I have the 1 terabyte iPad, I can now record video, put it on the iPad, upload and edit, which I did on this iPad. It was just very difficult. So the new one will now make that a possibility.
No. But not much. Oh, you know what? Something's gotten worse. Cloud storage solutions for consumers are more expensive and less and more encumbered than they used to be.
Well, because the economy of scale.
Well, also because the business model there was a loss leader, and that doesn't scale.
Well, it's because people don't back up. If people backed up as much as they should, then it would work. The other thing is that people are now instead of paying for, like, what was that one, the backup solution that was really popular?
Carbonite was popular.
That was the one that had a flat fee for, like, unlimited backup. It was Carbonite, right? People now don't need Carbonite because they just pay Apple, like, $5 a month or Google Drive. That's where the money's going.
Yeah.
And that's where your automatic backup
Especially if you don't have a desktop computer or, like, a for real laptop. If you're just living in Apple world
or
with
even
tablets.
if you do, they both have desktop backup solutions.
Yeah. Because not everyone's weird like me, where I need, like, a 40 terabyte NAS up there for
most people are not backing up a huge bunch of video they record at conventions. They're just backing up their photos and their contacts and their few documents.
I think any one PAX, at any one PAX, me and Scott,
if I did not have video to back up or many years of raw photos, I could get away with just Google Drive or just iCloud.
Dude, the raw Wave Geek Nights archive would fit on, like,
a USB stick.
Yeah, like I could just put that on like 20 USB sticks and just scatter them around the earth as my backup.
Yeah. Anyway, now there are some sort, like, in terms of software,
self-driving cars, I think, will be the next, like, really transformative
but
technology.
even that we've already discussed them to death.
And also,
the only news would be they're finally being sold.
Well,
now.
I think there's more to discuss.
They're finally writing laws about them. This is what they say. Let's discuss their finer points.
Well, also, the technology isn't actually there yet for consumers.
But it's
getting.
But yeah, I think another problem is that if you look at, like, software, right? We've sort of figured out all the algorithms. We've figured out all the methodologies. There hasn't been a lot of movement there, right?
There is movement in machine learning and some transformative things are happening there, but these are not things that are being harnessed directly by you.
Yep.
Or, well, some of you. A lot of you are doing
And
this for your jobs.
There's a lot of movement in complete bullshit like blockchain nonsense.
Yep.
Right?
God, I can't wait for those coins to just die.
That's right. So it's like, great. It's like, what are we going to do? GeekNights episode about some fucking bullshit?
Yeah.
It's like, how many bullshit technologies are there? No, we need real technologies to be invented for us to talk about them.
Some stuff is getting close. Like the next gen of VR, that Oculus Go, is a big step toward mass market compatibility.
Man, it's VR. The current gen of VR has like already been so many years though. It's like none of this is what was new in 2018. In this year.
Oculus Go?
No, I'm saying specifically like anything was new in 2018, right?
Oculus Go. That's actually a pretty. What's it called? Oculus Go. The new Oculus.
That's the one where it's with the battery in it.
Yeah, it doesn't need a computer. It's not tethered to anything.
We should.
And it doesn't need sensors.
Oh, I remember that. That should have been in news when it was.
I was gonna. Yeah, we should talk about it. It's like
we should have talked about it when it was. How come? That's actually interesting because I remember seeing that news and being like, and
I think we had I had a bunch of travel and a bunch of shit got in our way.
But then like no one else talked about it.
I know.
Like there was a news and then it's like I haven't heard from it since.
Because it's like
I feel like that hype train should have gone because basically that honestly, as someone who hates all the VR and is poo-poo it. That has everything going for it.
It's the first one that's usable by normal people without doing a bunch of bullshit in your house like I have to do.
It's still too damn big on your face. But everything else about it was like, whoa, great job.
Yeah. Like, this is the kind of VR I would just buy for my mom or dad, and they would
still
just
not
use
buying it till it's smaller on my face.
Yeah,
but otherwise, it's like, whoa, that is a great advancement, great idea, good job.
Yeah.
That is actually huge and makes it way better.
The only reason I'm not going to get it is because I have the legit Oculus, which is better still.
I'm just waiting for it to be small enough on my face. If they make Oculus Go that doesn't stick out from my face so much.
See, I don't care about the sticking out from the face. AR technology is not anywhere near there yet.
Well, AR technology is getting very advanced. A lot of people are investing in it. You know,
but it's
Apple's
only getting
got those
very advanced in
emojis.
showrooms and controlled situations.
Right. It's like, but it's not that useful, and it's like the cases where it would be useful, it's not perfect enough to be useful.
Voice control, I would argue, has not been transformative at all, but all the investors are desperately trying to make it transformative and make it relevant.
I think there are certain situations where people buy the Alexa or the Google Home or the Apple iHome or whatever the fuck, which one they have. Usually, I think the Amazon one's the most popular.
Yep.
People have those in their house, and that's their thing. They use it, and it works. Right, and it's good, but most people I think are not in the scenario where that's a thing. You know, it's like I have a stereo. It's like if I had like a room in a house that was far away from all computers or something, I might need one. Or I don't know.
Well, I mean, I would use one in a kitchen, but what I found is that in practice,
if I had a kitchen that was a separate room that was far away from all other rooms.
But what I found in practice, even like trying to use all these different voice things, is they're not intuitive enough to do the thing I actually need, and it is faster to just pull out my phone and look something up.
The other thing is that I just really, and maybe it's because I'm old, but even if no one's around, I'm self-conscious about talking to a computer.
Dude,
and
if Star Trek computer, please do X, and it just happens.
If anyone is around, I'm not talking to a computer. But I think if the computer was so intelligent like a person, that then...
Well, for example, if right now I was
then I wouldn't feel bad about it.
Computer said preheat the oven to 425, like while I'm sitting here. But in the current state of things, I don't trust any Internet of Things to have any ability to set the temperature on anything in my apartment.
If I say computer, preheat the oven to 425, and it said, now preheating oven to 425, I would have to go look at the oven to make sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust it. Also, I don't want to be laying in the middle of the night and suddenly hear, off in the distance, preheating oven to 550 because someone hacked into my apartment and is trying to kill me. So yeah, that killed an episode, I think.
Right, but we need ideas for the next Monday episode.
Tell us what we should do the Monday show on.
Please invent something new or find something that actually I have a reason to learn that is a significant item that I could talk about for 30 minutes.
In the forum thread for this episode, tell us what we should do a Monday show on. We're going to pick the best of those ideas, even if it's shitty, and we'll do the show on it.
Great.
So put some good stuff in there. All right.